Thing they'd like to bring forward?
Well, before I sit, I'd like to invite a few members from International Paper to come forward. We have Mrs. Donna Fournier, who's probably familiar to everyone, and we have TJ Billiard, and he's general manager, and his boss I just met, Kyle Smith.
He's our region manager. He manages a bunch of plants.
Thank you.
I just want to say for the record that box people are really good people.
Amen.
I have nothing personal here.
Yeah, it's in the blood.
I like box makers.
I'd also like to ask Lindsay Exapulius to come up, because as our reading specialist, she is also part of this presentation. So we have been very fortunate to have this group, and especially this company, International Paper, and years and years ago, because Donna and I go way back, and I said to her, we need a partner in education, and Donna says, well, I work for a great company, and we can be a partner to you. And from then, that moment forward, we have received many grants. This is and it's always thrilling. I think I've been in tears every time, because it really is exciting. I don't care if it's 2,000, 1,000, 5,000. It doesn't matter the amount. It's just so exciting to get that extra little bit and put it towards a project, and then see it grow, and then see it live on past that grant. And then by the time the next one comes, we're ready for another project. So we have been absolutely so fortunate. So this project, Lindsay is going to tell you a little bit about, because she needed a project for her class, and it was, to write a grant.
Right. So I'm taking a course at UConn, and one of the assignments we had to do was write a grant, and it didn't need to be a real grant, but it was the same time that Ms. Beltran was talking to me about International Paper and what we could do with it. So we just partnered up, and I appreciate the opportunity to work on it. So we're kind of looking at a way that we could have it be cohesive with the strategic plan. And so we picked something that was really looking at student-centered engagement. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with engagement theory at all, but it's pretty much just that an engaged reader is a reader that will read. And the more that we read, the better that we get at it. And so, okay, just keep in mind that I'm a reading specialist. There's a famous reading report, and it goes through everything. It goes through phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, comprehension, fluency. But now the research shows that if they were to do that again, there's a really important piece that they're leaving out, which is engagement and motivation and the impact on that on student achievement. So what we're doing is we were able, with this grant, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a grade 4 classroom, and we can do it with more than one grade 4 classroom with the library that we're going to create. So we have a huge selection of books that we'll get, all sorts of texts, all different genres, all different reading levels, fiction, nonfiction, the works, and also some science books that line up with what they're teaching that the kids are really motivated to be doing right now because of the hands-on projects. I'll be supporting the teachers with the professional development and supporting them rolling this out in the classroom. And we're going to measure it with some engagement, some motivation surveys that exist, and then we're going to look at some of our universal screening that we use, because ultimately it should lead to student achievement. And I think that when we're in the trenches in the classroom, we get really, you can get blinded sometimes, especially at this time in the year, when state testing starts to come out. But really, it's not just the number, it's getting these kids hooked on reading. And they will achieve, but there's no greater sign than seeing kids talk about books that they have and talking about what this author did. And that's what happens when they have books available to them, books that are interesting, engaging, multiple copies that they can read together. So this one little quote from research that I think is pretty powerful can show, and it's a massive research study, that engaged reading can overcome traditional barriers to reading achievement. So it can overcome gender. It can overcome the level of parental education that their parents may have. It can overcome income. And I think that is really powerful. So thank you for investing in education which really is the best investment in our future. So we're looking forward to following through on the grant and what we can do with this and the difference it will make.
So these
in our students.
classrooms are going to be filled with such a wonderful selection of books. And I can bet that, you know, we have media center, you know, once every so many days. And so picking a book maybe just once every 5 days is not enough. But
Right.
to have them in the library, in the classroom, readily available, and when they finish that book, they can just jump to the next, so.
And they'll be supported in how to select the book, how they, so that they're always able to access and can manage it, it can really be self-sustaining.
So these classroom libraries are going to be just
Right.
phenomenal.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could we take a picture of you all together?
Man, at the end of the
Well, we are proud to be a partner in this. I want to tell you, I appreciate Kyle being able to be here. He ironically was in town today, all for good stuff. If we had 110 of her working in our facility, we would be a 2-day-a-week plant, because all 110 of her would be doing other things for other people, and we'd get it done fast. Her passion to do things for others and her passion for your school district is awesome. So thank you, and thank you for allowing us to partner with you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Hold the tears on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Are you actually his mother?
Yes, I
I love you two guys together. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on in.
Okay.
You got it.
Thank you. We want to get you on Twitter.
Kyle, I don't know if you got the subtle connection, but
Yes.
20-plus years.
How you doing, man?
You're welcome.
Thank you. My wife is or was a teacher, so the reading is very.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, they do.
She's got us moving on. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Yeah.
Lindsay, thank you.
It's in the blood. All right. It's in the box.
It's in the box.
Any other citizens' comments? All right, committee update. Any no subcommittees, right? Joe, did you have anything on the trust or?
I will let Mr. Birch give the update on the windows.
Putting you right on the spot there, Bob.
I didn't even know there was an update. No, there really is.
He's been working his butt off on this thing, and it's coming to a close.
Well, not a close, it's just maybe a milestone.
Major milestone.
The windows are gonna go in next week. The storage box is gonna arrive tomorrow, the windows arrive Thursday, and the carpenters all arrive first thing Monday morning, and the goal is, by the time everybody comes back from vacation, the windows are done.
Wow.
And Dean is back, so.
Excellent.
Dean is back, he's been back for probably close to a month now, but that means that the railings are finally going up in the stairs, because there was no way I was touching them without him.
Okay,
So
good, great news.
that's a 5-year project, so coming,
Finally.
4-year project coming to at least its first milestone.
Most of it, yeah. Anything on alumni there, alumni chief?
Tonight would have been our alumni meeting, since we've had 2 that were canceled due to snowstorms, but we moved it off. I think we're gonna be next week. We're preparing for future fundraisers. Obviously, our funds go towards scholarships. So that's one of our big campaigns, and then we're gonna be planning our career day, our mock interviews, the alumni concert, alumni weekend, the alumni soccer game, possibly a softball game coming up, and maybe a basketball game for alumni. So we got a lot of things that we're looking to do. I'll have a better update next month after we have our meeting.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to educational update. First thing is student spotlight. We have a student of the month this month.
We have plenty of prepared for everybody to be on the front row view to celebrate. course, you have to.
So each month, Turtle Rock Memorial High School Student Spotlight Program recognizes a student who has demonstrated outstanding achievement, character, leadership, attitude, and/or contribution to the school and community. March's Student Spotlight honoree is freshman Michaela Taxon. Michaela was nominated by 3 other freshmen, Lindsay Wister, Samantha Wister, and Kaylee Taxon. In Michaela's nomination, Lindsay states, Michaela is a sweet, caring, and hardworking girl who is always willing to put others first. Samantha adds, Michaela is a phenomenal student and athlete who goes above and beyond to put her best self forth. She will help anyone with anything without hesitation. She is positive and in the most negative situations. Her sister Kaylee also was among the nominators and confirms that Michaela is caring, hardworking, and the best sister anyone could have. Regarding her motivation, Michaela states, what motivates me is my family because they always congratulate me on what I have accomplished and push me to work harder. So when I get good grades, I feel proud of myself, and that is such a great feeling. While in middle school, Michaela received numerous awards and as a result of her many contributions to her school community. Now in high school, she continues this involvement as a member of the Future Business Leaders of America and plans to become involved in the TMHS Leadership Team and National Honor Society. She also competes in soccer, track and field, and dance. Of her plans for the future, Michaela states, I have always loved working with kids. I am working hard so that I can get into college in order to eventually become a preschool teacher. Michaela's personal message to the school and community is, if you put in the effort, then eventually something great will end up happening. Even if it doesn't happen at first, keep pushing through and it will.
Say anything to the board?
No.
Does the board have any questions?
You don't have to.
I'll say, I have 4 sisters, they never nominated me. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
What do you enjoy most so far in your freshman year?
Really how close everyone is, and like that's really nice. I like the academic.
What do you think of your soccer coach? I won't. That's awesome.
Thank you for being such a wonderful person. Allow the family to escape at this time and take pictures in the hallways.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, you did? Okay. So, these are some additional leadership that I presented to you just regarding our progress. And, yeah, sorry, I'm late. Emily gave me some stuff. We're both on the leadership team, and we're really excited about the progress we've been making lately, especially in our subcommittees, which more information regarding that is coming soon. But I guess the point of us giving these to you now is just to see some of the amazing things that we've been doing together and in our subcommittees in general to make our school a better place, because like I've noted, like, I guess the younger kids really wouldn't be able to see this as much, but the turtle lot that I walked into as a freshman and what we're dealing with now is so different, and it's all, like, it's largely a part of the leadership team and the things that they've done. So this is just some of the updates that you can read at your leisure. So, yes. Yeah. So, you don't have to do it. Yeah. I'll just look for it.
I was just reading this, I'm sorry. So tell me about this, the newsletter. This is the first time I'm seeing this, right?
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is just some of the stuff, like we have student voice forms that are given out in homeroom. They're not very popular in my homeroom, but yeah. So some things that, you know, are bothering the students, they think they can be changed. They write it down in the student voice form, and it's passed to the leadership team, and we have people working on them that kind of, I think that's also a subcommittee. They kind of look at it and we discuss solutions to see, like, I mean, if it's reasonable, what we can do about it just to make things more reasonable, like the class dues.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are kind of, have said, like, you know, like $40 is kind of burdensome, especially like when you have to pay them with prom. So we're looking at evening it out throughout the whole year. And I think there's another one on here about another bathroom being opened for students, because a lot of people changing there at the end of the day. So just things like that we work on, just little things to improve the school and reception to the students.
I will say an additional comment, because we did resolve the request to have the faculty bathrooms, the new bathrooms, opened up for student use. It was interesting. I certainly entertained the democratic process and was respectful of the students asking to have 2 sets of full bathrooms opened. And after doing a history research with all of the faculty on why they were originally locked and when, I brought back all the facts to the students this morning. And it was very interesting as they all realized that while they would love to have 2 full sets of bathrooms, the faculty kind of need a place to go to. So they decided that they were being a little bit, they were asking too much. And they said, yes, let's leave that as, those as faculty bathrooms. So it was interesting to see them come to that understanding. It was great to see their maturity in that whole process.
I think it's pretty interesting. I was just looking to your point, Bill. Juniors should be able to take open campus. That's pretty cool, because we tried to do that even when I was here. Didn't work. Good luck, let me know how that one goes.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, the one above it's even better because, Emily, block your ears. I hear this all the time from a student. I won't mention what student. I don't have time, Dad, to walk from this end of the school to the other. We need more time between classes.
Yeah, what I'll say is that I have the senior lockers, but like all of my classes are not in the senior hallway. So you'll see me like frequently carrying like a huge pile of books trying to run to Mr. Peralta, and so like I wouldn't be mad if passing time was increased like that. I'm just saying.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, it shows a great initiative amongst the students that, you know, have your voice heard in a professional manner.
I
It's
think
nice.
my favorite one is lack of enforcement rules about public displays of affection.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of that going around?
It isn't. Yeah, it is an issue. I've actually like almost been like taken out, like fallen down because people have like stopped right in front of me to like, I don't know.
Embrace.
I don't know, do whatever. And I'm not paying attention, so it's like half my fault, half like, okay. Yeah.
Stopping.
The leadership does
Yeah,
have-
they just like plant where they are, and I'm like
in the middle.
So how do you handle that?
You have to
well,
walk around.
yeah, you just kind of like pivot, and you're like,
Yeah. I vocally go, ew, gross, stop it.
I found
Rent
if you
the room.
stare at them, yeah, they stop. Yeah.
So the student leadership team have 2 more opportunities to come together, one being this Friday to finish up all of their committee work. And then on May 18th, they're inviting the National Junior Honor Society and the Middle School Student Council up to participate in the panel as some of our seniors talk about what their high school life was like as a leader and how they gave back and all of the changes that they went through. So that it promises to be an incredible experience for both those that are graduating and those that are coming.
I think something that we should probably try to do even with the alumni, have you guys come and talk to the alumni, because, you know, being an alumni of the school, you're very proud of where, you know, we've all come from. I think it'd be nice for past well, obviously alumni, here, you know, what's going on at the school too. So maybe at some point I'll reach out and have you guys come to an alumni meeting, at least just talk to the prior Tigers. I like the way that you guys are branching into the other schools too. That's gonna help us with obviously keeping students within the Thompson district. That's
Yeah.
nice.
All right, anybody have any other questions for our students?
We need a program, only you can prevent high school smooching.
I second that.
Take it outside.
Yeah, I wish.
Wow. We had none of that when we were here.
Oh, none.
None.
Okay.
We used to go downstairs. Just saying, just saying.
All right, anything else, ladies?
We do have our actual.
Yeah,
like-
we have our actual, like.
Yeah, this was
things
just
we
on
use.
behalf of the leadership team since we are both on it, so.
Please keep going.
All right, good go.
So as of right now, in a couple minutes, this will be ending, but the Modern Music Ensemble is at the Thompson Library, performing, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it ends at 7:30, so it's in 4 minutes if you want to just head down. On April 12th and the 23rd, the ECC Art Show at NFA, that will be there. We also have the SATs for the juniors are April 24th. NHS induction is at 6 o'clock p.m. on April 25th. Then we have the Spring Art Show on May 1st in the Thompson Public Library. And that's it for that.
It's also, oh, go ahead, never mind.
She's got the
Go
rest.
ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so on May 2nd, it's National College Commitment Day. Ooh, indeed. It sounds kind of scary, but it's coming up.
Have you committed anyone?
I am not committed yet, but I am planning to commit to UConn. So,
Good for you.
thank you. Yes. So also on May 2nd, our formal spring concert is happening, and yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Everybody's more than welcome to come, 12:30 or 6:30.
Yes, it's free. It's
Are you
good.
singing an Alice in Chains song?
Unfortunately, not this time. I was told it isn't formal enough, although I don't know why. We are singing an African piece. We always do because we like to involve other cultures in it, like especially when we go to the Grady's, and it's so much fun. Like I think it's awesome to do that. So you should come and see us because yeah, we're awesome. So on May 4th, prom is happening. I'm kind of disappointed because May 4th is also like National Star Wars Day, but our official theme, I'm not kidding, our official theme is like Starry Night or Under the Stars, but nobody said I couldn't make it Star Wars themed.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I fully expect to see little donuts
Yeah.
with your hair.
I'll do it.
Go
I
lay
will.
it.
I mean, until I found a dress, I was gonna be like, and nobody could refuse my entrance if I dress like Chewbacca. So, yeah. So I'm excited to see what some people do with that, if anybody does anything with that. May 10th, our quarter 4 progress reports go home in the high school. On May 7th through the 11th, the high school NEWA testing is taking place, and I'm really glad I'm not going to be a part of that. On May 8th, we have our teacher appreciation breakfast at 6:45 a.m. The school will just take a little bit of time to show how much we appreciate our teachers and how much they've helped us out, and that's always fun. On May 8th, our corneropoly delivery is expected. That's with Ms. Tukai in her marketing class. They have the quiet corneropoly, which is pretty cool. On May 11th, the Grady's Festival is happening. Like I said, it's a competition that the concert choir and concert band go to every year. Also on that day is the AP US History exam. So like I'll be going directly from one to the other. So it's fun. I hope I don't look too dead on stage, but yes.
And then that brings us back to the May Board of Ed meeting.
Yes, the May Board of Ed meeting at 7 p.m. And the last thing on here is on May 15th, the AP Calculus exam. I'm sure everybody is so excited for that. So, yes, that's all I have for you guys today. But wait, also, well, I actually have one thing I lied.
It's also Integrity Plus, right?
Integrity Plus is the 11th, like this, like tomorrow.
Tomorrow night,
Yes.
right. And that's at the upstairs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so one more thing. I wanted to personally invite all of you guys to the NHS induction, which is on the 25th. I wanted to check the time. It's at 6 p.m. in the auditorium. So, yes, you're all invited to come to that.
It's the closest thing I came to National Honor Society.
So, yeah.
This is the closest
This is
you've
the
ever made
closest
it?
I've ever made it to a National Honor Society, getting a certificate, so thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Well, that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody have questions for either one of our students?
I want to thank my grandparents.
Thank you, ladies.
That's awesome, thank you.
Okay, next, superintendent's update.
So we're going to talk about enrollment. As of this week, we have 1,008 students in our district, 432 students at Mary R. Fisher. That's up from 2 students from last month. We have 1 student down at 335 at the middle school, and 2 students down at the high school to 241. I took a look at your last 2 enrollment projections. You had one done by NESDEC in 2016, and then another done last year by Dr. Crowder. And both of those reports are within 2 students of accuracy. The NESDEC report predicted that we would have 1,006 students this year, and we have 1,008, and Dr. Crowder predicted 1,010, and we have 1,008 currently. One of the discrepancies between both reports, even though those bottom numbers are pretty accurate, they did see they missed the mark in the NESDEC report on the pre-K to 4 enrollment. We are actually up 31 students from their projection, and then Dr. Crowder missed the mark where we have 78 additional middle school students. So when we look at it overall, the bottom number was pretty accurate, but we're seeing the biggest discrepancy was in the 5 through 8 grades, where we have 335 students, and that was up from his predicted 257. So I just thought it was interesting to look at those past reports. I'm assuming that we're gonna have Dr. Prouder do the 2018 projections for this year. We'd like to have that information done annually. And the reason that we shifted from NASDAQ to Dr. Prouder's report, his was actually more comprehensive and it was a lot less expensive. And so I'm looking forward to having that done again. So,
One question.
yeah.
On enrollment. Came up during last year's budget discussion was the projection of 8th grade into our high school last
Correct.
year. I'm curious what the projection is
So what
this
we-
year. Do we have that?
So what we know
Yeah.
is that last year 26 students applied to Killingley BOAG alone, and out of those 26, 14 returned to Turtle Rock. This year we had 10 students apply, however, only 4 students are going, and 1 student, 5 students were accepted, 4 students are coming back. 4 students are going and 1 is returning to Turtle Rock. So we are projecting, at least in my mind, we're projecting about 90 students going up to the high school,
Okay, so.
which is a bigger increase.
Sure. I'm just curious, Ellis Tech, according to this, there's 55 kids at Ellis Tech.
Correct.
I mean, is it just roughly an average of 4 in class? Because I get that only 4 are going to Killingley
Right.
out of that 97.
I think we had what?
But how many typically, do we have an
We had about
idea of
10
who
or
could be going
12
to
that
Ellis?
went,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an idea of the students that have been accepted. Ballpark, Sean, are you
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
for ballpark?
yeah, just a,
Oh, boy, 8 to 10 maybe?
okay, so that would bring us down
I
closer
can
to
get
83.
that, I can get that number to you.
No, I'm just, that's okay.
Mhm.
If it comes up, we like to have
So,
some kind of thought.
we have, obviously, we've been doing some recruiting efforts, right? Because we have a marvelous high school and we wanna see, students, participate in that wonderful learning environment. And so we did send out packets to, our area, pre-K to 8 schools, to see if there were any recruitment, because you had set a, non-resident tuition rate, a few months back. Yesterday, I received an email from the Pomfret superintendent who wanted to know, was Thompson Public Schools interested in receiving high school students? Of course, I immediately responded, yes, we are. We sent him a full promotional packet. You know that Justin Martin and his firm put together really beautiful brochures and our strategic plan brochure. And we did offer Megan and her team, Principal Baker and her team at the high school have put together a wonderful presentation. She's more than willing to conduct tours. So we offered all of those opportunities to the Board of Ed from Pomfret, and also they have a subcommittee working on looking for alternate high schools to send their students to. So, you know, we're very excited that, you know, people are looking at Turtle Rock Memorial High School, and we're gonna do our best to promote that. I must say that Principal Baker and Principal Poland have done a fabulous job this year with the teachers there, and the students, really getting out there and informing people about the school. And I have good hopes that that number is gonna go up, so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just 2 questions. On here, it looks like we lost 1 student that moved out of district
Correct,
and 1 that moved into homeschooled.
yes.
So, going along what Sean was saying, there's 39 students that are homeschooled within the district. Have we had any meetings with those parents to find out where's our disconnection with them, or how do we connect with them to try to bring those, even a percentage of the 39 back into
Well,
school?
you know, it's interesting, the whole process here in Connecticut is, a little, lax. They have to fill out paperwork, or we send them paperwork to fill out, but
Right.
they are not obligated by law to complete that paperwork and send it back to us. And so we don't have any monitoring system of their program of study or any of that. As far as families that choose to homeschool their children, if they're having a difficult time at the school, of course, the principal and the guidance counselors are making that outreach as to why they've made that choice. Right. Some are making it just for their own family structure. But we do know that not everybody returns the information that we send home. It's a complete packet for them to fill out about the rationale as to why they're homeschooling their child and what program they're using. And very often we don't get that paperwork back. So that's the downside.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a clear legal divide in Connecticut between public school and homeschooling, because when homeschooling first became a popular choice, of course, LEAs wanted to make sure that the students were receiving a quality program of studies, and the homeschool organization, if you will, really stood up and said, no, this is our business, you have no business in it. And unfortunately, the legal divide between the two became very clear that we needed to step back from trying to counsel.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if there was a way that, you know, just invite them to even just a meeting, just so we can learn, you know, what is it that we may have as a deficiency that, you know, not saying that that drove them there, but, you know, 39 students, I mean, like, you know, what Sean was saying, even if we had a percentage of that, that was, you know.
Or to tell them some of the newer things
But
that,
yeah.
I mean, you're under a new leadership group. This is,
Right.
you know, if these are people that left 2 years ago, well, things are changing here.
Correct.
Let us show you what we're going to do for the future. If your kids are little or younger or whatever, we should reach out. If there's 40 students out there, at least reach out to the families to say, okay, you left for a reason, you know, but we are gonna be doing things differently, more positive. There's a whole new group involved that's looking for great things to happen for the school.
Yeah.
And maybe sell them the school, sell it to them.
You can do that.
I'd also, I've said it before, I would concentrate on that 55. Not only is it the biggest number, but as somebody that's in the trades, I'm just not a fan of 14-year-olds having to pick their life. So keeping kids in our public school as opposed to a trade school, to me, is should be a top priority. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, we've been working really hard this year on recruitment efforts and program changes to attract kids to stay, and that work all had to happen first. And so now that groundwork has been set, we can go back and recruit from those places to say there are some career options that you might want to consider at Turtle Rock.
Do we know how many are coming from St. Joe's 8th grade to here next year?
0. I went down and met with Sharon at St. Joe's, and I will tell you why. There are 11 8th graders who are graduating. 10 of them have been accepted to Marianapolis, and 1 is a Burrillville resident and is going to Burrillville High School. However, Sharon did invite Megan and her team early next October to go down to St. Joe's and do a presentation, and then those students are also going to come up and shadow Turtle Art students for a day.
Yeah.
So, but we have to get in on early on in the school year.
Yeah, even if it's 8 or 10 students, I mean, that would offset, you know, maybe what we're losing to Killingly or somewhere else, you know, it could be a wash, so.
And we just missed the boat on, primarily because we were busy doing all the other stuff. We missed the boat on that recruitment window, but she did tell us that the best time for us to go down to St. Joe's is at the beginning of October.
Perfect. That's good.
Just something real quick, that ED 502 discussion that we've had, has that, I think that's brought some pressure to bear on some of these decisions that have been made. If not, it's made other schools put their head up and, you know, pay attention to what's going on. Should we do the same thing with Ellis? Let them provide that report so we can see who goes into the trades after they graduate from Ellis?
So, you know, that's a state-run school that we don't pay tuition to. And so the concern is that my reach into that school, I can certainly inquire, but I don't know necessarily if they have to give me that information. Maybe I can get it through the Department of Ed on what career pathways they're choosing. At Killingly, I could ask for the transcripts. I did ask for the transcripts, and so I know what courses the students are taking there or not. And that was easier to get. That and QMC, I can get those transcripts, but On the Ellis side, I would have to inquire about that. I can certainly do that.
It'd be interesting to see what their trade success rate is, you know, and it may not be something we can do anything about, but it would be, might behoove us to bring that to the attention of the state rep and senator. If it's, you know, if it's, the last number I think we heard was, it was less than 50%.
What do you mean, that went into a trade after graduation?
Right.
That was BOE. Yeah, that number came from, I believe. But
I would be surprised if it's, I mean,
probably.
I've got family members that have gone and the percentage is 0.
Okay, all right, so any other questions? Let's move on. School calendar?
School calendar. So before you in the packet this evening, I have the proposed 2018-2019 school calendar. When we built this calendar, there were a couple of focus areas that we wanted to put into the calendar. One of the things is that we really wanted to maximize on instructional minutes. Having students in front of a teacher and getting that good instruction, we wanted to increase those number of minutes. So what I needed to do was decrease the number of half-days. And I know in prior years, those half-days we put to very good use for professional development for our teachers. However, we're taking a different approach to professional development and trying to do much of that job embedded within the school day, and hopefully with the Alliance funding, having on-site subs so that work can happen. But I wanted the calendar to be predictable for parents, because half-days, believe it or not, there is a childcare issue for many of our families. And so every second Wednesday of the month will be a half-day, and then they're designated for professional development for teachers for their teacher evaluation, for some district professional development, and then some Ed Reflect days that are in there. And in addition, the other goal was, because we had 12 school days out due to snow, I put the calendar together so that we would front load on the good days, even though that storm in October was an anomaly. But we front load as many good weather days and have those as instructional days, and then pepper our professional development days through those winter months where we may have some additional days out. So we coupled some of those days with the January New Year's Day break, that's a professional day the day after, and then the February break, that's a professional day on the 20th. So last year, Mary Fisher, for example, had 21 half days. We've reduced that down to 11. And similarly for the middle school and the high schools. We also put on there the days of the parent-teacher conferences. We wanted to make sure that families knew what those dates were. So the goal is maximize on instructional minutes, capitalize on the good weather, and try to get us out in a reasonable time. As it stands, our last day of school would be June 11th. And then if we needed to make up snow days, we have that whole week, the remainder of that week, and possibly the next week if we had to. But even at that, I would say the last day of school would end up with multiple snow days during that week of the 17th through the 21st. And the calendar does have still maintains the 181 instructional days that the board has always set, and 4 professional days.
So with June 11th being the slated as the last day, that would put graduation on for 8th grade, or moving up ceremony, and then high school graduation where?
So we're going to determine high school graduation in April. I had to live through a cycle. This year, there was a lot of pressure from Project Graduation to set a date. The bad thing is that with all these storm days, we are going to have graduation. The students are expected to come to school those last 4 final days. If they don't, it's an unexcused absence. Many of them are going to participate in Project Graduation. That's between them and their families. But the reality is that we have to get in the 181 school days. So we've determined that we'll come to you in April, and by then the bad weather, although this month is certainly not holding true, but hopefully the bad weather will be behind us and we'll be able to pick a solid date for graduation.
Because on this schedule though, the 11th is the 181 or the 180?
181.
Before you get too far beyond what
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith just commented about our seniors being invited back past graduation, Mrs. Williams has some wonderful curriculum programming just waiting for them if they decide to take us up on that.
Excellent.
Just letting you know.
I think this is good. I mean, I know, obviously being a parent, I mean, you try to figure out, especially now, it's a little bit easier. She's, Emily has her license, but prior to that with kids, we all have jobs and trying to coordinate. So, I mean, I like the way that you're scheduling structured days and parents can plan on it. It's good.
And on those second Wednesday of every month, we've asked the principals to hold their first faculty meeting. So the teachers will get that half day plus an extended hour, that's predictable.
Yeah.
And then the principals will select their second faculty meeting with their staff, and they'll schedule those in. But the primary one is set on the calendar and they know. So.
Another great thing about those half days predictable district-wide is it allows more vertical articulation between not only the secondary ed but also with the elementary ed.
Yeah. No, that's good. So these are district-wide basically.
So in April, we're gonna have all these very angry graduation parents coming to us.
We're gonna tell them now.
No, we're gonna have them in September.
So can I?
Go ahead.
So project graduation shouldn't, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and the parents put a lot of time and effort in raising funds for the high school. However, we're in jeopardy right now of, kids are gonna have 4 unexcused absences. That plays into our attendance rate, regardless, district-wide, and so we have to be mindful of that.
In fact, our seniors have lost 5 instructional days.
I understand that, but there's really no learning in the last couple of days.
Oh, that's not true, and I hope that's never to be true.
Okay. All right, so let's just say.
Spoken
that's
like
not
a true administrator. Well done.
That was a test, you did well.
Yeah.
All right, it's gonna happen, they're gonna come to us. I agree, we're here for this. All right. They work.
It's a
I
one
hear you.
should dictate the laws.
It should. It was
All right.
intended to be.
Let's just get the word out now that we're not making that decision till our April's board meeting.
That's fine. They should know that before they start doing all their work, beginning of the year.
Am I missing something?
They just haven't organized next
This is
year's
April.
committee yet. We were gonna do that, but we don't know who they are yet.
All right,
What did we do?
that's cool. As long
We
as they
already
know
signed
going
it,
into it. I don't have a problem with it, I know they're gonna come here.
We're gonna have another problem when we start to talk about the DC trip at the middle school and project graduation.
Okay.
That will be next month.
All right.
I mean, it's only been a couple years at most that we set graduation early, because I know when my son graduated,
No, I
it was
know,
set
I
in the
know,
spring.
I know. It's only, we tried.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to approve the calendar, so.
Same action, isn't it?
It's on
Because you added.
All right,
So what's the big change though? There's no, I mean, it's a shortened February vacation.
That was always
That's
in
all right, we changed that.
The big change is cutting the half days in half.
But we still allow, if we had to, we can still affect an April vacation
Oh, yes.
without changing the last June 11th if we had. If we only had 2 days throughout the year, I mean, we probably will figure something out,
but the February vacation was always a February vacation, a full week.
Well, this
So
is only.
I know, this
Barbara
year.
retired.
Until what?
Until Barbara retired, I wasn't here to argue over
Yeah.
it.
So right now, we're only going 3 days, right?
Well, this year we had 2, we're adding on our PD day on the 20th, you see it highlighted in yellow.
But that's no
for the
student.
students, it will be 3 days.
Okay. So the only buffer we really have is April to play with if we run into kind of a year.
Why are we
like-
doing it that way? Why not have the full week off in April? I'm not asking to change anything, but just what's the thought process? Why not the full week in February and then just a partial week in April?
Because you don't know what your snow days are gonna be until winter's over.
Yeah.
Right, but we've all.
Exactly, so you take
But-
you take those days off in the winter and not in the spring.
But there's
No, we
also
still
a
have
state.
the rest of February, March, and beginning of April
Yeah.
to have the snow. So,
We've always been
There's
told.
also a state regulation that we have to align with the regional calendar out of EastCon. And so their days are to February. We're supposed to align with that as much as possible.
What
I'm not, it's all right, I
But
just don't know why.
I thought we also used to do the February because of cold and flu, and it's good to clear out the school for a week for health reasons. And that was.
That's what Barbara always said.
Her argument.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm, whatever it is, it is. I'm trying to figure out where our buffer is.
Well,
The
well,
end of-
we also have a
the
buffer at
week
the end of
of the-
June.
Yeah, you do have.
Yeah, but without trying not to move to June 11th, we really only have a buffer of 5 days in April.
We have the PD days and the 181st day as well. But really, if we had to go into the week, there's usually makeup days that are, at the end of the school year. Right now, we're going to the 22nd.
Right,
and
trying to
that's
avoid
late.
that in future years.
So, if building this calendar, usually we started school and we had a PD day and an orientation day up front.
Mhm.
We're only having the orientation day, we're not gonna have the PD day,
So
so
we
we're
gained
picking up
one.
a day in August.
Right.
We're not having PD days, if you can see that, the first half of the school year, we're gonna do job-embedded professional development. We pepper the others in through the winter months, and then a decision can be made at that time. Do we forfeit that PD day and make it a snow day if we needed to make up? That's just something we're gonna have to think about, when we get closer to those dates. But, we really wanted to get in, the good weather days, and I like that we're gonna really be front-loading that instruction, maximizing on the instructional time. And the principals helped, build the schedule, and I thank them for their input. They saw things that I was missing, so it was kind of a collaborative effort to put the calendar together.
Good, okay. Any other questions on the calendar? All right, let's move on to our technology plan.
can I just ask Megan one question? Megan, on the college acceptance on your update,
Yes,
do we know how many students have been accepted into college?
we do, and we know how many students have been accepted into each one of those colleges. That's information that I've been redacting only to save space. I can certainly include that in the next board report.
Okay.
Certainly.
I'd just like to know if we're on pace for the last
And
few
actually,
years.
that'll come, not only can I say how many have been accepted into each college, but I'll also be able to report on which colleges they committed to.
Okay.
Being May 2nd their commitment.
How about the military?
I can include that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Do you like it,
There
Jim?
is.
Okay.
Yes, and I wanna thank Heather. Heather has been working with a lot of constituent groups.
PDA, sorry. That was PDA, I'm sorry. That gets them back, yeah.
Sorry. All right, yeah, so as Lulinda was saying, over the last couple months, I've been working with most of the people in this room to put this technology plan together. We've been without one for quite a few years now. If you remember, the state used to require us to submit one, and then back in 2015, they kind of dropped that requirement for all the schools, so everybody just kind of did their own thing. If you notice, a lot of the school websites now still have their old plans up there. But basically, this plan works off of 3 main goals. The first goal is to support the infrastructure, to really support anywhere, anytime learning on one-to-one devices. So in order to do that is all the E-rate funding that we've been discussing. So goal 1 is to upgrade the network infrastructure, and not only to upgrade it so that we can go one-to-one with Chromebooks, but also upgrade it so that, we can look into future technologies, so that it will take us into the future with virtual reality devices or, whatever we choose to go forward with in the future. And then, importantly, also really committing to a 3 to 5 year replacement cycle for the network equipment, so that 10 years from now we're not back in this boat with really aging and outdated network equipment.
Along with that, we want to finish rolling out the interactive projectors. We started in elementary and we worked our way up to high school, so we have a few more in the high school to do. So next school year, we should have, I think, every classroom done with the exception of a few of the unified arts classrooms. But once we also commit to a replacement cycle with the interactive projectors, we can kind of cycle out the older ones to maybe elementary music or middle school art, PE even, they, you know, the PE.
Heather, is that just another term for smart board?
Yes,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Smart board.
Just, only thing I've heard is smart board, okay, thank you.
Yep. So I guess, are there any questions with that part of the plan? I'm on pages 11 and 12 if you guys have it. The goal, and I'll just move to goal number 2, goal number 2 is to ensure a successful and organized rollout of one-to-one devices for the district. And the one-to-one devices are to support blended and personalized learning and more online learning, digital textbooks. Before we roll out the Chromebooks, we have to develop an orientation program for parents and for students, go over digital citizenship, things like that. I've met with a lot of local schools, I've been doing a lot of research, and I feel that I have included in this plan some really good solid ideas so that the plan is successful. This year, hopefully, we'll be going one-to-one in grades 5 through 8. Next year would be grade 9. Then the Chromebooks that are currently in the middle school will go down to the elementary school. So slowly over time, we will be one-to-one in the entire district. And the idea with that, to maintain that cycle, is that when the students enter 5th grade, they'll get a new Chromebook, which will carry them to 8th grade. And then once they reach 9th grade, the old 8th grade Chromebooks will go to elementary school, and then once they reach 9th grade, they'll get a new Chromebook to take until they're seniors. We've looked into insurance plans to go along with that. So I want to say that this will also support.
What's the life expectancy of one of these Chromebooks?
So it's really, I would say like 4 to 5 years. Eventually, what happens with the Chromebooks is they stop, like Google stops giving them updates. So there's a chance that some apps may stop working, like the testing apps that we have. However, we do have a program, I forget the name of it, that we're using that we can install over the Chromebook so that it will ensure that it will get updates. It's kind of like, it's a Chrome operating system that we're currently using on some of our older Windows computers, so that it does allow us, even though the Chromebooks themselves, how can I explain it? They will not get updates, but it will still allow us to manage them in the cloud. Let's see. All right, that will bring me to goal number 3, which is one of the most important, is the professional development for technology. We want to increase the professional development by taking advantage of online resources. And let's see, I will be working a lot with IAN and hopefully somebody down in the elementary school to really to get the teachers submerged into Google Classroom and using Google Classroom with the students. It's not only just training them with Google, but we also need to create a research and development team to research a new student information system, because we've all talked about how great Rediker is not. So that's a huge undertaking, which is part of this plan as well. We've already implemented the portals to improve the parent, teacher, and home communication. What else? I think that's the most important aspects of this plan. Are there anything else you'd like me to address? Any other questions regarding this?
What's the replacement cost on Chromebooks? Or is there a trade-in, trade-up program? How does that work?
No. They're pretty much, once they reach end of life, that's it. But the ones that we get are about $250. So
And on any year, what's our recovery? Do we have like 15 that we have to replace? When we get to that 5 year?
So when we begin the cycle, it
Yeah.
should be, I'd estimate anywhere from like 80 to 100.
Wow, at one whack.
So we need.
Is that covered, any of it covered by a grant, or is this
No.
all direct funding?
So this is the, when we do 5th through 8th grade, it's going to be covered with the Alliance funds.
Yeah.
And then going future, it will be my budget money.
So we should, if we all believe in technology, we should start looking at when that'll hit us, probably 3 years out, maybe, 2 years?
Yeah, especially when we have to do 9th, 10th, and 11th grade all at once.
Right.
Which we may wanna look at leasing, I'm not at that point.
Cost difference between lease and own? You
It's
know,
the same,
Okay,
with a dollar buyout at the end.
that's something we should start thinking of.
Yeah, we're gonna have to always keep a certain budget line in Heather's budget for replacement devices every
Right.
year. And I would think it's gonna come to us, you know, as long as we have some Alliance funding that we can rely on for that, that's great, but the 5th graders going in, depending on how you cycle those Chromebooks up, every 5th grade class going in is gonna need a set of Chromebooks.
Right.
Heather, do you have the staff to, take care of any problems, like if you have a bulk of them that go down at a given time? And I know you know, with all the requests you probably have coming in to do this, that, and the other thing, I mean, is it going to take away from the day-to-day, upgrades or stuff that you have from teachers, from principals and that relative to the whole thing working?
I think of course it will, especially with the amount that we're getting. But the one good thing about the Chromebooks though is, I mean, we have, I want to say 150 right now in the district, and I think we've only sent 5 out for repair. So they are really good, sturdy devices, and there's not really any software issues with them that we've run into up to date. I mean, they use them for testing. They test the whole middle school on them. They use them in elementary. They use them for testing in the high school. So they pretty much run themselves. But yeah, I am concerned with the wear and the tear, and with the middle school age students accidentally dropping and.
So your staff, there's no staff member that can repair in-house, cause it's
Yes.
expensive,
We
or is
oh,
there?
we
You
can repair in-house, yeah.
How expensive is it when you have to send them out? I mean, you have a
Is
$250
it
warranted? piece.
It is warranted, yeah.
It is warranted,
Yep,
okay,
it's
great.
warranted, I think we do the 3-year
3-year.
warranty.
You raise a good point. When we have 1,000 devices and they're being taken home, the impact on the technology department, we just raised this year, the board approved a part-time position, and that's the person who helps Heather repair items, to a full-time position. So we actually added time this year to the technology. We restructured it. But I believe that when we have 1,000 devices, and let's hope it's more than 1,000 devices working at once, that the wear and tear on the tech department could require another FTE. Right now, Heather's been working with an intern, and so some of that is being done through the intern. So hopefully we can continue with that type of a program.
There's also a reach into our student talent. Tracy is starting an internship with a high school student. So they will actually get credit working with her, developing this skill.
Well, I know, Christian does the ones for QVCC through EastCon, and he does all the Chromebooks, and I know how he talks about the time it takes when these things go down in bulk, that it does take away time, so I'm just
So we gotta be
curious.
mindful of that.
Well, if we have to hire somebody else, we hire
I
somebody
mean,
else when the time comes.
1,000 devices, are we, maybe I missed it in one of these conversations, are we talking about first graders taking them home?
Possibly not,
That's-
but
so-
definitely.
So I just, at some point, you're not gonna have 1,000 going home.
How many-
But
How many
1,000 in
backup?
students' hands.
In the hands, absolutely. What?
How many backup machines do you have, so when you do send off repairs?
So I plan on like 10 or 15. It's usually a good amount to have on the
Yeah.
shelf, just in case.
I'm very excited about the infrastructure upgrade and the deployment of the devices. I think it's going to really have a significant impact. And I'm looking at Megan and Ian out here, and they've been busy working on the Summit personalization platform that we'll talk to you about in another month or two. They wrote a grant, and we've been in professional development to roll that all out. But you know, if we get to that point, it's really going to have a significant impact on how we deliver instruction.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't also remind everybody that with the pathways that we created, one of them being in computer science, in fact, some of the classes being those courses that would teach students to be level 1, level 2 technicians, we actually are building the capacity for our own students, not just through internship, but also through their own knowledge and being part of our school to be able to sometimes do some of those repairs on the spot.
You can have like a little lab.
Exactly.
Does the Alliance grant cover the upgrade on the wireless network?
No.
That's gonna be E-rate, and then the money from my budget this year along with next year, my hardware budget.
So we saved around $70,000 out of Heather's budget this year that she did not touch, and it was hard.
Yeah.
But we kept it. We put in that application for E-rate, and then in her budget for FY19, there's the remaining money so that we can pay that $217,000 upgrade. So
Right.
we're straddling 2 budget periods and a grant to make it work, but
That'll cover us for how long? Because obviously adding all the Chromebooks, cell phones, whatever else people have, I mean, that's a drain on your network.
So I'd say around 5 years until we need to start looking at that point, upgrading some of our access points and.
Right, and by then there might be some new technology out there.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, anybody have questions for Heather?
thank you, Heather, you did a
Thank
really
you.
nice job.
Yeah, well done.
Okay. Mary R. Fisher Shade Project?
Yes, we have the PTO here, and they're gonna
Oh,
talk to us.
that's what that's. Other than shade.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give an update.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, you're
this is
done?
the one.
I made
Yeah,
copies.
sorry.
Oh, you did? Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. So we ended our feasibility, last time we spoke, we were discussing the feasibility of the project, and we had 3 quotes. 2 actually play structure companies came out to the school, took a look at the area. One was an online quote because they didn't service our area. But luckily, we were able to narrow it down, and we received a quote around $7,000. And we voted last night, and the PTO is willing to support that. We have enough funds available. So we would like your approval to move forward with the formal planning of actually installing this type of canopy or shade.
So for purposes of discussion, can we get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Motion to approve?
Yeah. To
Yeah.
approve the,
Yeah.
to approve
I'll second it.
the project.
Okay, I'm usually the stickler for this stuff. Special meeting, it's not in action items. We're not in action items.
We can,
So
I see.
just somebody tell me the rule, because
So do we just make
we're not in
a,
action items and it's a special
Add it
meeting, we're not
but
supposed
do
to
we add it?
We with 2/3 of a vote, we can
can
add it to a
It's fine.
special meeting, because this is not an emergency meeting, it's a special meeting.
Right.
Right.
So we can add it to the agenda, so just for discussion, we don't need a motion.
So you-
Just for,
Well, let's put it on action and
Right,
we're
so we'll put it,
take
give
a
me
vote to add it to action.
give me a motion to add it to action.
Withdraw the first motion.
All right.
My motion to move the Marietta Fisher Elementary School Shade Project to action items.
All right, so we'll go letter F with the shade project. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. All right, all in favor of just moving this to an action item right now, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so I got my 2/3. So,
Yep.
do you wanna tell us about it now, or do you wanna hang around for another 10 minutes and do it in action items? Tell us. Tell us about it. Tell me where you're planning on doing it
Sure.
and what the timeline is.
It's an 8-week timeline from the day that we order, so if we get approval tonight, we'll place the order tomorrow. And then we'll be able to narrow down some more specific dates, and we'd have to, obviously it'll be up to Bill, really when they're on site and when the construction happens, so.
We got it down to a 2-post construction from 4. They're gonna build outside of the fence line so that it's not obstructing the play area. I was only able to print 2 copies, but this is the playground. The Premier is the name of the company. They're recommending along this line with the most shade potential. We did also look at a couple websites. There's some kind of fun websites out there that you can enter in your longitude and latitude and place with our in place where the best place is for shade. It's only a 12 by 20. It's not a huge, but that's the one we could afford.
But it's a start.
So,
In a couple of years, you may do another one. Who
It's-
knows?
Yeah, it's fulfilling a teacher's wish list, and we would really like to do that.
Is Mr. Birch on board with this design? Yeah.
He was involved in the meetings with
Okay.
the play structure.
Where would this go?
This is the back playground, not the one that's up here.
Right, yeah.
Can you show our group over on this side, like where?
No, he actually recommended
Straight out-
against these.
straight out there.
So the
the
measurement
little
is about
pond.
3 posts, so he was saying over
Right
here.
outside of-
And that
yeah,
did
that's a
fit
little-
because the
little
east, you know, it's
parcel.
east
Mhm.
to west. So this was taken last night, 6 o'clock. So it's in east shadow.
Not the blacktop, it's the low, it's
Right, it's the lower
side.
one,
Yeah.
so it's not, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
Oh, it's
quite
not on this
outside.
side, it's, yeah, on the other side of the road.
The shade starts getting straight right here.
Straight out from
Right
the
here.
Playground.
Yeah, it's just but it would be about
It's the elementary, the preschool, I think.
Which one is that?
And so
That's elementary.
it's not gonna be a huge space, but it'll be enough to provide some.
So if I understand, you're saying that these posts are going outside, probably right up against the
Right,
fence?
yeah.
I got you, okay.
Yeah.
And is this company gonna do the entire work, or
Yes.
do our guys have to do anything?
No,
Our guys just have to take them down
they have to.
during high wind season or something, right?
And in the winter.
And snow.
That's probably my only,
Well,
the
that was-
only concern that I have is I've been on this hill when there is wind. And who is going to save your investment when that wind is kicking up? I mean, is there gonna be a plan in place? I think it's a great idea, but who's gonna go take that canopy down when this wind on this hill really goes past 76 miles an hour? And, I mean, that's my concern. I hate to see you spend $7,000 and that thing, I've been up here. We all know what can happen with the wind.
It does sustain hurricane force 1 winds, which is 76 miles per hour with gusts up to 90. There's a 10-year warranty. They do say if weather is expected above 76 miles per hour, it does need to be pulled down. We have discussed with Bill about taking it down seasonally. I don't wanna speak for you.
So, Bill, is it retractable?
No, it's not.
No.
It's
So, so seasonally, it's gotta come down just like everything else comes down. That's, if there is some storm that blows through here, it may not be the first thing on the list.
Right.
I mean, on the other hand, though, if a storm blows through here, then, liability property insurance would probably
More than likely.
cover all except the $1,000.
And if it's a hurricane, you know it's gonna come a couple of 2 or 3 days ahead of time.
Yeah.
And that's September, October.
Yep.
And we'll take it down, but it's gonna be one of your guys taking it down, right?
That's
We're not gonna have
correct.
a couple of volunteer mothers trying to.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Right. I don't think it's a good idea either. That's why I'm just,
How long does it take to take the top off? Bill, do you know?
I don't know, I haven't seen it yet.
So, I guess my question, I'm all for something. Is it more cost effective and easier, less maintenance for us to do a permanent shade structure that doesn't require fabric and having it taken down?
well, here's the whole
We
thing.
looked
I mean, I don't know what you guys.
We looked into that.
don't have any money for that.
It was over $15,000 for just looking at the gazebo style. That's not even
Really?
a consideration.
Okay.
So we couldn't touch it. That's nowhere
Nope,
near.
totally understood.
We're not doing it, PTO's doing it.
No, right, I'm just, but, I mean, to Val's point, I would hate to see $7,000 worth of good money, you know, sorry, but be blown to pieces, you know?
Well, while I agree with the theory, and I don't wanna minimize any amount of money, we're probably talking about a fraction of that that would be damaged.
To replace the
$7,000
fabric.
is stainless steel posts installed, everything. So let's just go worst case scenario, the canopy got torn.
That's 3,000.
The canopy itself is probably I would think it's the cheapest portion, because stainless steel posts can't be cheap. The installation can't, I mean, so, yes, we don't wanna lose any money, but if the canopy goes, how much is just that piece of fabric?
Yeah, I would just hate to see their hard-earned fundraising money go for naught. That's all.
Yeah, but
We will keep an eye on the
That's
Channel
right.
3 weather.
That $3,000.
We know how accurate that is.
Okay.
We just wanna get.
All right, any other?
No, I'm all for it.
Any
I just
other
don't want you
questions
guys-
right now? This will go to action item shortly, but.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's well done.
All right, last insurance for oil tanks?
Correct. One of the things, on the heels of that whole, terrible accident that happened here several years ago before my time, the oil tanks that were in the ground, at that time, the district found out were not insured. And since then, there's been a conversation back and forth about, buying insurance for those oil tanks. Currently, there are three, Bill, jump in anytime, there are three tanks in the ground, and so Bill worked with the insurance broker to get us a price, to find out what it would cost to insure the tanks. The price that we did receive was $15,000 annually, and it was $1 million worth of coverage, but the deductible was $250,000. And Bill, I don't know if you wanna chime in on your conversation with
So-
the insurance broker.
So yeah, the premium is not outrageous. The fact that it's a $250,000 deductible is, you may consider it outrageous, but had that tank been insured in 2014, we would be in a lot better shape than we are right now, even if it cost the district the first $250,000. The problem we've got right now is we've got three tanks in the ground. One of them is gonna be here for another 20 years. The other two are only going to be here for another 3 or 4 months, and they're going to be permanently closed. The decision has to lay with the board whether they wanna spend this money now to insure all those tanks. If we take out a policy today, it's not prorated, it's for a year. So you're not gonna get a policy on those two tanks for the next 3 or 4 months, it's gonna be for an entire year. The drawback is, we're under notice of violation from DEP, and, for all of our good faith efforts that we've put forward, someone could possibly make the argument that you had a release here in 2014, and now it is April of 2018, and you still do not have coverage on any of these underground storage tanks.
All right, so. Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to formulate my own. So this is $15,000 a year for 3 tanks.
Yep.
In 2 months, we're gonna have 1 tank.
Correct.
What's that policy at that point?
It would be less. We can say for the sake of argument that it would only be $5,000. It would still be a $250,000 deductible.
That I get, and that I understand, and I think that's a good idea, and I would have thought that once we discovered they weren't insured at that time, we would at least insure what was left in the ground, so, whatever, we didn't do that. But what is our motivation for paying all that money for 2 tanks that are gonna be out in 2 months?
That is the question that is at your table.
Okay.
I got the quote.
All right, thank you. I have no motivation for it then, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not understanding this. Say we had the insurance. If I'm the insurance company, why am I paying the school for someone else's mistake. And this is what I asked
You
her.
wouldn't, Sean, but what would happen is, if the town had insurance on the tank.
Okay.
At the time it happened, we would've, the town would've been liable for the $250,000 deductible. The insurance company would've picked up the rest, up to $1 million. They would be in court.
They would be fighting the other guys.
They would be in court with the other parties, as opposed to the town being in court.
However, even the $1 million for a bad spill wouldn't be enough.
Wouldn't be enough.
Right.
$1 million, we're just about right now.
Right. That's what
If the next referendum passes,
Mhm.
we're gonna be right about at $1 million.
Right.
We're gonna be very close.
And if they discover more, God forbid,
Then there will, yep,
then it's gonna go way over.
then it's gonna go over.
So, I do believe that last tank, we really definitely need insurance. But I don't think $1 million's enough.
Did we talk to the town at all? Do they have underground anywhere that they've got
I don't think they
insurance?
have any more underground.
No more.
Maybe is there one at the library, maybe? I don't know. I know the tank at the town garage is above ground now.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Did we ever have insurance on those tanks?
Well,
Ever?
the law changed in 2012. Prior to 2012, our regular lap insurance, from the best I can tell, okay, I've really just gotten into the insurance side of it the past few weeks. But as far as I can tell, our lap insurance covered them until 2012, and then there was a change in the law. So the change in the law said that if you have underground fuel tanks for dispensing products, diesel, gasoline, you are required by law to have them insured separately. Heating oil tanks, you were not required to have insured separately. But at that same time, our lap insurance stopped covering them. They gave us the option of listing the tanks and having them insured. And I know that as of, I can see you coming. I know that,
that's all right.
I know that as of sometime in late 13 or early 14, we did not have that insurance. It wasn't taken out. Now, whether it was taken out initially in 2012, I don't know. Heather's been also working diligently trying to go back and find emails and correspondence to see where all this happened. She's got 300 pages to send to Shipman and Goodwin regarding this whole.
Okay, all right, so that part is still to be determined. All right, so there's no action to be taken on this right now anyway, but I believe.
Can I ask one more question?
But, of course.
Did we only get one quote?
Well, we have an insurance broker,
Okay.
and it is HD Seeger is our broker, and they go out and they shop around for the.
Why would we be asking them?
Because they're our insurance broker.
They're still our insurance.
Who'd you ask?
They are our broker of record. I know where you're going with this,
Okay,
but
okay.
they are our broker of record.
Okay,
And
all
I
right,
believe,
all right.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's a contract that somebody signs every year to have a broker to handle our insurance.
So we should find out when the last time that was signed, and, all right, so it's just opening a lot of questions.
And more questions than answers on this one.
Right, and we don't have the answers now, so we'll drop it for the time being. But we do need insurance. We do, well, maybe it's HD Seeger, maybe it's not. But I think we need it for more money, personally.
And one tank.
And just one tank. These tanks have been tested, they're not leaking, they're going to be emptied and then removed, so there's little chance of anything happening there. I'm not an expert, I make boxes, but
Good box.
Can you
Good
box,
boxes.
can you
Good
box those
boxes.
in?
Do they hold oil?
The paper.
How absorbent are they?
So, I don't see the need to do, this is just me, this isn't, I'm not speaking for the board. I don't see the need to cover all the tanks, but we really need to get that last one covered.
Two things.
Yeah.
Either Bill, either one. When the other two tanks are pulled out of the ground, will the extracting company have an insurance rider that covers them?
Oh, yeah.
If something goes wrong, there's nothing can come back to us when those tanks are being extracted, right?
Well, that's what,
Never say
that's why
never.
we have courts, because
well, I understand.
somebody
I'm
will
not-
argue the point that.
And I'm not holding Bill accountable to this at all. What I'm just saying is, they will have an insurance rider to cover them for extraction of a tank. If they puncture it.
The contractor that removes the tank, of course, will have, liability insurance. Sometimes I've seen contracts that are written with an additional named insured. It may be the town.
Right.
But that all comes down to the contract, and, the contracts have to be reviewed by legal counsel before somebody puts their name on them.
The deal is,
So
you just never know, once you take the thing out, or stop
Yeah, we don't know.
you never know what's under there, you don't know, and they're gonna take responsibility for what they know, or what they thought they knew.
All right,
So-
now, the second thing,
Yeah.
last night at the Board of Selectmen meeting, what was approved, because it came up regarding the oil tanks here? I heard just a snippet of it on the radio, so
You mean
what
the
was
town?
actually approved?
The town meeting, it was, $110,000 that was requested at the Board of Finance meeting, and all it was moving it to referendum.
But that's for the testing of the
No,
tanks.
that is to continue the remediation project
Okay,
from the oil spill. The money's been expended.
right.
The money that was approved in 2014 is all gone. We spent every dime of it. So they requested another $110,000 so that we can continue to treat the groundwater that we're treating now, and to do further testing below the slab to hopefully satisfy DEP and let them say this thing is gone.
The other stuff, Tom, was below the amount.
Right,
The testing
okay,
and that
so
stuff.
the last board meeting that we had, we were talking, maybe it wasn't the last, maybe it was one prior. When Bill had presented, we were talking about spending, I think it was $9,100 or something for the testing to avoid future penalties.
That was
That's
something,
all
that was
taken
something
care of,
else.
right?
Yep.
That was to do that testing. We got.
We're all set with that though,
We have
right?
like 2 projects right now.
Okay.
We have 2 tanks to take out, which did we sign the contract? We're going with tie and bond, we're all set with that?
Theoretically tomorrow.
Theoretically tomorrow.
Okay.
So we have a meeting tomorrow. The other one is the court case, the remediation.
Right.
So they went to court, Bill went to court.
Correct.
And what happened was, the judge said, how do we know if there's anything left in the ground? He wants that information. The only way we're gonna find that is to do more testing. That's why we need more money.
That's the 110.
Yes.
Okay.
To keep the filtration, we're gonna drill holes and we're gonna test for oil. If that's clean, then we hopefully can clean up that lawsuit on that side. And over here, by the end of June, we have to shut down these tanks. If everything goes all right, we might have new ones in by the beginning of the year. We don't know. If not, we're gonna have to have temporary tanks for the beginning of the year.
Right, but where are we on that meeting where we said, let's move forward? Are we doing the testing, because that.
We did that.
That's done.
That's done.
Okay,
That-
all right.
And they're happy with that.
Now, is the
Everybody's
filters
happy
we
with
have to
that.
get and all that stuff?
Yeah.
All right,
So now we're just waiting
Fine.
for the vote to get the money to finish this up.
okay, good.
Project A, Project B.
Yep, that's fine. Good.
All right, so, like, somebody gonna look into different insurance options, or, yeah, all right.
A higher, coverage amount and the insurance figure for 1 tank, correct?
That's a huge deductible, huh? $250,000?
Yeah, but it's a lot cheaper than a whole million.
Yeah.
$500,000. All right. Administrative reports. Mr. Sugarman, you go first.
Okay. Just a couple things. We have 2 staff that started this week. Our BCBA started this week. She's the one that's here full time. She's doing a lot of observations in classrooms. Today she was with our outside consultation BCBA that we've been using. She just kind of spent the day with her shadowing. She's been in our autism program. She's been in our elementary self-contained program. So she's setting up meetings with principals and special ed teachers to get to know like the caseload and the work that's ahead. The admin assistant in my office started this week. It's going to be a long learning curve, but she wants to absorb as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So it's just kind of balancing of that. But she's on board. She's great. She's great to work with. The state has released, I mentioned this in a previous board report, just as like a quick little blurb. There's new IEE guidance that is out there. It is on our webpage under Pupil Services. That's just an important document to look at and be aware of. There's been a lot of talk at the state level, at Board of Ed levels, around independent educator evaluation. And the state is getting a lot of pushback to revamp those laws and guidance. And what they're trying to do is, and where that came from, a lot of parents were complaining that when there was an independent evaluator, that school districts weren't allowing access to that evaluator into the school setting. And so a lot of the guidance that's changed is basically school districts have to allow some access if the team has agreed to an independent evaluation at the public's expense. Our numbers have kind of stayed the same, except for our out-district numbers have kind of stayed at 13 students, so it's kind of gone down. As you see, school year 15-16 October 1 count, our outplaced students was at 22. Like I said at last time when I first shared that, I think the number that we should be at is around 13-15 range. You know, it will fluctuate, you know, depending on kids, but it's always a moving target. You know, Melinda and I just had a conversation that there's potentially a student from Plainfield moving to Thompson that's outplaced, you know, and so that could happen, as I said, at any point. Just a student could move into the district and kind of settle in and be here. So we're still kind of plugging away at that. The issue, the only lingering issue with that is just a lot of encumbrances. So we encumber for the year, and we wait for those final bills to be generated for kids that we've brought back. In some schools, they report monthly, some do quarterly. So those kind of final bills should be coming in by the end of April, and then we'll be able to like release the money that we've already encumbered and kind of close that PO out. That's one thing that we're kind of waiting to do with that.
Great. Any questions for Scott? Okay. Mrs. Baker.
Sure. So in addition to what our liaisons have shared earlier, I'll just speak about our annual mock car crash that most people come to expect right around prom time. We're mixing it up a little bit this year, and we're turning April 24th into a full safety day. Prom, as they said, is May 4th. May 24th, we're inviting the state in for our their program called Choices Matter, in which they will not only do a presentation, but they will also have different workstations where the students can go through and experience impaired driving. But due to the recent crisis within our building, we're also addressing the drug awareness needs, and we're forming a team of our health teacher, our nurse, our guidance counselors, Mr. Coleman and I, going in and talking about safe choices from a lot of different angles, including just a few key points from some of our most recent learning at Alice training. Mrs. Beer and I just debriefed with our district safety committee. We're really excited about coming together to work out a timeline as to be able to bring that new training concept to not only yourself, but also to our teachers and our students. But there are some key points that we can start now with our students. So April 24th will be a full safety day.
Recent crisis?
Pardon me?
Recent crisis? What was that?
Alice?
No, just, I mean, as far as the, maybe not crisis is the wrong word, but the recent awareness that we really need to address in the secondary ed level, drug consumption, drug distribution, and drug concerns.
Okay.
Just being responsive to our own local. Oh, also too, we're working with our local first responders in order to rejuvenate and call in some of our younger children, as a lot of our first responders are aging out, trying to get some of our youth interested in joining the forces, working with Justine Gendro, as well as really promoting the EMR certification program this summer.
Yeah, we have 9 students signed up to take the EMR course this summer. It'll start at the end of June and run through the summer, but we're really excited about that. It's part of our summer program. So we have a trainer coming in, and students will take the test at the end of the summer, and hopefully we'll have 9 new EMR certified folks that can volunteer.
I heard the spot on the radio, and that was pretty interesting. All the students went through.
Oh, the hands-on training. We
Yeah.
had done that in the beginning of February for Heart Association Month with Massachusetts Hospital, Jay Sear.
Yeah.
And it was, yes, they're all trained, well, trained if you will, knowledgeable about how to administer hands-only CPR, and they all got the feeling of how deep that compression needs to be in order to just actively keep that heart pumping blood through the body. Like they said on the spot, that really is the act that really saves more lives instead of alternating between that and administering breaths.
Right.
But all of our high school students went through that training, and Connor Monahan even used some of that knowledge within 2 weeks at his employment at the Putnam Y, where he was instrumental in saving somebody who was a potential drowning victim.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
We had built for decades, we had a firefighters club. I wonder what happened with that.
Yeah, we had that.
We had that one in school.
I mean, we had it
as a club.
probably till into the 1990s, from the start of the school, so almost 100 years we had a
We have enough
firefighters
kids
club.
that we could probably look at resurrecting that.
And it
Merrill
could be part of the
Sinay.
academy.
Yeah, Merrill Sinay, who's still around, ran that for many, many years.
Okay, I'll reach out.
Yes, it's in our
Mr. Perkins,
yearbooks.
Good, how you doing? Just some fun stuff on behalf of Mr. Scott in the middle school here. TMS has been selected to have an NFL player visit the school. Haley Balageron, one of our 7th grade students, helped the school win the prize by earning enough points to become student ambassador and applying to attend the Fuel Up to Play 60 National Summit. So pretty neat stuff. We don't know who the NFL player is yet. So.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, I wish, right? So that's good stuff.
Patriots Nation around there.
Yeah. Mrs. PG, Mrs. Plazo Gagnon, and Mr. Cooper were awarded $500 from the Fuel Up to Play 60 grant as well. Anthony Vukovic, we say his name quite a bit. He participated in recently participated in the state level competition of the National Geographic Bee on Friday, Geography Bee on April 6th. Unfortunately, he fell a little short, but really proud of him nonetheless. He's done a wonderful job for the school, so he's just a great kid. And then finally, congratulations to Madison Koziak, Cameron Filoni, and Jordan Butler in the Patriots Pen Essay Contest, sponsored by the VFW Auxiliary. Sponsored by the VFW Auxiliary. So did a wonderful job. Those 3 placed Jordan 3rd, Cam 2nd, and Madison Koziak 1st in that essay contest. So again, 3 wonderful kids. A lot of good stuff in the middle school. A lot of great kids. Just trying to keep it positive here. Yeah, fun stuff.
Worth noting that that's 3 years in a row that the middle school has had a student qualify for the state bee. Prestigious. We've only been doing it for 3 years, so we're 3 for 3. No.
Yeah, Anthony
2 years in a row, right? Somebody else 2 years before.
Okay.
Ms. Beltram.
Let's see, first I wanted to thank the board for participating in our bedtime stories. That was lots of fun, and you guys did a nice job. I didn't hear any complaints. No, it was a fun night, and thank you for participating. And we also had a great event, and I was trying to find some more programs, but I'll just let you pass this one through. The big puppet parade, and where each class had selected a book, and they made a giant puppet, kind of like the big Nazo puppets you might see in Rhode Island, but so they picked their favorite book, each classroom, and then each child had part of, not only, so you had the big puppet, and then you had all puppet either on a stick, something on a stick, or something so they all had part of the parade. And Justin Martin's crew were there and took a video. We screened it to make sure everybody's acceptable, they can be on the video. And I think it's probably going to be.
It's on Facebook.
Is it on?
Mm-hmm. And Twitter.
Okay, so it's up. So it's.
Andrea told me
and
already.
it's good to see that. And just to bring to light that our preschool and kindergarten enrollment, we've started with our registrations, and kindergarten is up to 65 right now. A few packets have gone out, so but haven't come back. So Melinda and I were talking, we're a little bit above the norm this time of year. So 65.
Wow.
Now the last couple of weeks, you're gonna get another.
You're gonna get more than 15.
And then you get another push right at the start of school too, don't you
We
usually?
always, September and
Yeah.
kind of into the beginning of October, people are still moving and building, moving, whatever. So, and everyone is invited to the annual ice cream social and art show. It's going to be all about puppets, of course, and that is May 4th, Friday, May 4th. So, it's.
What time?
6 o'clock start.
Where
And
does it normally?
It will start all the way from, as you come into the early childhood building. Erica fills up the showcases. There's stuff in the lobby right now, giant puppets, and she has things displayed all the way up through the corridors into the cafeteria, and she's already had that sketched out for a long time, and it's a big year-long project with the puppets. I think they're going to be able to even make puppets in the cafeteria, so if parents want to stop by and make their own puppet, they're going to have like a maker space area. And then in middle school will be the ice cream social. PTO has already been planning that. We had a meeting last night, and we're always grateful for their part, because they do a lot of work to bring that together with the art show. So it's a great night. The parking lot's really filled all the time, and it's a big event. At the same time, fourth grade is going to be selling some popcorn, so if you haven't bought popcorn from fourth grade, they've funded their own adventure camp. They're going to an adventure park, I should say. And it was kind of expensive, $22, and they're just about getting it for $0, the kids. So through their fundraising of different wooden roses and popcorn, they'll be able to give that money back to the parents. And so it's nice that they're helping themselves. I think that's about it.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you. Mr. Birch, you got anything?
Well, we've beat oil to death, and we already know about the windows in the Turtle Lot building next week. We're also installing sun control on the early childhood center upstairs and down. And also, we picked up these corner rooms up here in the high school, the art room and science lab, because they have a similar problem. So hopefully by the end of next week, that'll be done as well.
Great. Mrs. Spinelli, what's up?
We've opened up the Arctic season with softball. Had 3 games, they froze on all of them. Boys baseball game the team was supposed to open today, they're opening tomorrow due to snow. And track opens tomorrow, Thursday, and golf has already had 2 matches. Middle school starts basically after April vacation, other than the track team, they have their first meet Thursday. Numbers are pretty good. It's just the weather's been miserable and everybody's inside trying to get all their practice time inside.
It's supposed to warm up the end of the week though, right?
It would be nice. It's hard to go play a baseball game when you've only been on the outfield once.
Yeah. How's the condition of the field?
Well, they got on it yesterday. It's been really wet.
Yeah, it's been pretty wet.
Deb, any need for a batting cage? What kind of condition are our cages in? I got
The batting
one.
cage up there is fine.
Okay,
It's
indoor
only-
ones too?
What's that?
Indoor one, they're all in good shape right now? Okay. If you know anybody that wants batting cage,
Are you gonna get rid of one?
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
well, we'll take anything you got.
Danny doesn't need it anymore, so. We only used it 2 years inside, so.
Tax deduction.
Yeah.
Sure, we
We'll
can
take
give you a
it.
slip.
Put it somewhere.
I've got a screen too, pitching
Name
screen.
something after.
Okay, an L screen?
Yeah.
We have to have the naming convention now?
Yes.
Huh?
The Sean Brissett batting cage?
Yeah, no.
We'll name
Yeah, we'll name it.
I'm not sure
Can
what that.
imagine.
Let Eau Claire name it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Ian, do you have anything?
I was just pleased there haven't been any changes in the, in personnel in the curriculum department. We're still going strong. We're in.
I thought that's fine.
That was good.
We're in the midst of testing season, so, the girls already mentioned about AP. We've done the PSAT in grades 9 and 10. The field test for the new science test was done with grade 11. Middle school is getting ready to start their NEWA testing, followed by the SBAC, and elementary as well. So all that, again, testing season. All fun and games there.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, anybody have a question for any of our administrators?
No.
Let's do
Can
some
we-
action items and go home.
Can we get Ian a flashlight with an orange cone on the top when he's directing traffic?
Absolutely.
I tell you what, he's got a great, just, come on, keep it moving.
Right?
Love it.
Dancing police officer.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I panicked our student drivers as I reminded them that they needed to stop at the stop sign outside of the parking lot. Because then they're like, well, Mr. Poland is waving us through.
He's waving us through. I mean, I'm waiting to stop, and he's like, come on, get it moving.
They all listen, the adults and the students. It's all working.
All right, let's do our action items. First one is the minutes of the March 12th meeting. Can I have a motion?
Move to accept.
Motion is second. Any corrections, omissions, deletions?
Discussion.
Yeah, no edits.
I can vote, I was
Here
there.
somewhere. You were here?
I was there.
Bill,
Yeah.
my only question while we're talking about minutes is, should we be maybe leaning towards the cave advice of scaling it way back?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he was, I was surprised by his thought process, but I didn't disagree with him. So
Yeah,
maybe
no, we
something
can
that we
talk
oughta
about that.
just talk about
We
at
can
some
talk
point.
about it. Because what he's referring to is, we're required by law to take attendance, motions, and votes, and pretty much that's it. And although it's nice to have a lot of this stuff, you really don't know
The point was right, what
intent
context,
or
right.
how it was said, if it was said in a nasty way or said in a nice way.
And now that we're live streamed and on YouTube, if somebody has a question, they can go to the video.
Yeah. So, I don't have a I think they're very well done. But sometimes,
Yeah, no, it's-
sometimes more is too much.
Right, I thought it was just a valid point.
So we can talk about that, you know, I don't wanna change it right now, but, alright? So, are we good with the minutes, everybody? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Okay. School calendar, we already went through it, got a motion? Got a motion by Sean, second by Val, discussion. All in favor of changing the school calendar to what's proposed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Technology plan, we heard Heather tonight talk about her technology plan, have a motion.
I'll move to accept.
Joe and Jody, any discussion on this?
The only discussion is we should put it somewhere in our points of budget where we're gonna have to start mapping this out, so it's properly funded.
And maybe you could add that into the tech plan that we put in like a projection budget.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna go into a long range.
Right, long-range planning.
A replacement
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, all those in favor of the technology plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstentions? No. Healthcare consultant. Okay, I got a call from, who did I get a call from? Orla? We have a healthcare consultant that we share with the town. And because we have more employees, we pay 80% of it, and they pay 20%. Well, they contracted with it, even though we haven't approved it. So this is more formality than anything else. But what they do, and I found out, is they do quite a bit down there, when they have, questions and, claims. They let, you know, our person here now does it all, but we don't need to. This company will do all of that stuff. So it would be a big help, especially for a new person going into the thing. So, I think we already agreed to this at one point, but I don't think we ever voted on it. So, just in the sense of doing things correctly.
So, what are we actually voting?
We've already hired the healthcare, we're voting on entering into a partnership with the town, hiring this healthcare consultant, which
So
they've already done.
So this goes back to that discussion that they brought to us to join up on health insurance?
Was it, I don't know if we went to them or they came to us on this one.
They came to us, I thought.
No, they came to us on the workers'
On the
comp.
comp.
This, I think we went to them, or it was suggested somewhere along the line that we join forces, it would save a lot of money. And we actually, I think, in the years past, we were paying about $60,000. This is only $35,000 and taking care of both of us. So it's a good deal, and we all agreed to it. I think the only reason it didn't go, our previous finance director had some questions about it, and it never filtered down to us for a formal approval to go to the town. So that's all I'm asking for.
So what the motion should be that we approve the town's recommendation for the healthcare consultant?
Yeah.
Put that in.
That is the motion.
I will make that motion.
And Linda's got the second. So any questions? They're already working with it.
Right.
Does this cost savings go, which budget does it hit, or has it already been
Well,
accounted for?
Well, it was,
This current one?
This current one, because it's for this current year.
Yep.
All right, so all those in favor of this healthcare consultant, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstain? Okay. Done. We have two retirements. You want to take them separate or together?
Take them together.
Take them together. We have Janice Hanny and Valerie Krogo. Motion to accept the resignations. Retirements, I'm sorry. I meant to say retirements.
I move to accept.
We have a motion to accept, second. Thank you, Linda. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the retirements, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good. Finally, shade.
I approve.
To approve the shade.
That's it, we're done, I approved it.
Just like that. It's good, it's good.
I'll move to approve the recommendation.
Do you wanna make that a motion, or? how's that?
Second. Yeah, we have a second. Jody, any further discussion? Sounds like the PTO's got it well in hand, and you did a great job. Thank you for doing all of that. Sorry that you had to stay here all night, but.
No, I know.
Totally fine.
Okay, I thought you were letting me go.
No, yeah, he's been.
No, it's just my loud, long comments.
Joe's already approved it.
Any questions? Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of approving the plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, you got your shade. Correspondence, I don't have any.
I just had two quick emails from my hat in the Historical Society. On May 23rd at 6 p.m. they're having a wax museum presentation. The sixth graders are doing it up at the Rice Scavenge Auditorium. Everybody's invited to.
When is that?
May 23rd at 6 p.m. And working with the kids, they were phenomenal with some of the characters they picked and what they're doing with regards to research. And then on June 1st, if anybody doesn't think we don't pay our elementary teachers enough, We're doing the second grade town tour. I would invite everybody to come, so that's on June 1st.
What time is that?
It starts first thing in the morning, and then everybody's back by 2 o'clock or so. And we do the whole town, and we end up at Vincent's farm, which is in and of itself something to
Go to
see.
your house for cookies.
Absolutely. You can go to the
No, no
mill.
cookies until after we get out.
Okay. Anything else? Old business, I have nothing. Citizens' comments? Yes?
If you had meant to RSVP for the Integrity Plus but never got around to it, please email me directly tomorrow so that we can make sure we have enough place seconds.
I have to go to a meeting. It's my favorite one of the year, and I gotta go to another meeting. All right.
Can I give you my RSVP right now?
Okay,
Is that for tomorrow? I'm coming to.
motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Linda's got the motion, do I have a second?
Sean, second.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.